So today's video, we are talking about getting trapped in the idea of getting it right, which honestly is a perfect, there we go. I just fucked up my words, and we're having a huge sound issue with this saw buzzing going on in the background. So we've been trying to get it right, but ultimately the whole point of this video is that there is no really getting it right. There is you and your vision and what you bring to the table, and that's sort of the only thing that you really need to focus on. So for today, what I'm going to focus on is the content of this video and hope that despite some pitfalls with some sound issues, you'll still be able to receive value from this video. So as an actor, sometimes I've said this to myself, you probably have too, like, oh, I just want to get this right. I just want to get this audition right. I just want to get this part right. And you even do this type of a gesture where you're holding on very tightly to a specific result, this idea that you've decided in your head of what you think someone else has decided is right in how to play this role. Ultimately, that idea doesn't really exist except in your head. And then you put all this pressure on yourself to try to fulfill this idea of right that doesn't really exist, and you cut yourself off from your own creativity and your own freedom. So let's talk about some things that you can do to try to alleviate this idea of getting it right. First and foremost, you are completely unique, and there is no other actor who can do what you can do in any job or audition that comes your way. So your main job is to put your creative spin on whatever the work is that you're doing, to make it your own. So when you walk into a room, rather than try to get it right, where maybe you're stunting your own impulses and cutting yourself off from truly living in the moment because you're going to play out the choices that you've so carefully planned at home, what I would suggest that you do is something that I've learned from two different people that I've studied with or studied online in some of their books. The first is Tim Phillips. He wrote a book called Audition for Your Career, Not the Job. Because ultimately, if people like your work, you might not be right for that job, but you're going to be right for something else. Or they'll respond in such a positive way, they'll remember you next time, or they'll maybe even write something specifically for you because they loved you so much. There was a great example of this recently in The Hollywood Reporter. If you watch Orange is the New Black, the woman who plays Fig, originally she auditioned for the lead role of Piper as well as Piper's best friend, and she didn't book either one of them. But a few weeks later, she got a phone call from her agent that they were making a direct offer to her for this new role that they had written because they loved her so much, they wanted to work her into the show, and that's when she ended up playing the assistant warden of the prison. Perfect example. She didn't get it right. She wasn't right for that role, but they created something specifically for her. And the second person that I really love what she says is a woman named Bonnie Gillespie, who talks about booking the room. So this ties into the idea that we've talked a lot about in the past, which is focusing on relationships. Because an audition is a few minutes of your career. You can't get it right. You can only do what you can do. You can only show up and be in the moment and live it out fully no matter what happens. That is the best kind of acting. The most exciting acting is when something unexpected and unplanned and visceral and real happens. That's when people sit up and go, wow, that was amazing. I was so drawn into what you were doing. And if you can bring that level of presence and creativity to your work, it doesn't matter if you're right for the role, because you can use that cachet to build relationships with people who do the kind of work that you want to do and build that relationship into when the right role comes along or when someone goes out of their way to write something for you.